All right, so welcome everyone to the fourth episode of the Young Aussie Entrepreneurs podcast. I'm here with Jason. How are you, Jason?
Good, thanks, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks yourself.
Yeah. Good. Had a good day so far.
That's great. So I just want to get into this because I've been looking at all your profiles and you have a really exciting story. I just want to ask you, what are some of the big things in the past 12 months that you've sort of accomplished and achieved?
Well, some of the big things in the last 12 months that I've achieved. So we've recently in the business really switched over from like it's a digital marketing agency. And we've recently switched over from just going out there and servicing clients who are already, doing good things and in the community, marketing themselves, but we're servicing them. They're already doing well. They're basically rich people, servicing rich people, making them richer, which is great. Like, we love it. We have some great clients who we work with, who are, just a pleasure to work with. Really enjoy getting all the creative side of things, really, nailing down the strategy. But recently we've kind of switched over to helping people who aren't as further along in their journey. And we discussed this just before, but also some business owners who are, kind of just starting out and can't really afford our higher end service fees. Because ultimately, when we first started, that's what we wanted to do. But you can't make money just helping people who have no money, right?
Sure.
So we started off as servicing the businesses who are more established. But now we've really transitioned into getting business owners who are only just beginning, getting them set up, offering them different packages and services. And I think that's been the greatest achievement in the last 12 months. I could talk about all of our revenue numbers, how much we've grown and all of that sort of thing. But that really is something that, I can say wholeheartedly is one of our better achievements and something that we're looking to grow continuously in the next few months.
Yeah, of course. Because how long have you had this agency for?
So I started it when I graduated my MBA back in 2016.
Okay,
So a little over 2.5 years now.
awesome. Because I saw your post in the Young Aussie Entrepreneurs community, and you were
Yep.
saying how you just went from barely getting by to now doing, I think it was 5 or 6 figures a month. How was
Yep.
the transition just to go from where you were to where you are now for you?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So I forgot that's what I posted. So I said, I think it was 6 months ago, I said that our revenue was like $679, which was no word of a lie. That's why I put specific numbers, because
Yeah.
that was exactly our revenue. And from that, and then now, like last month, we had our first week of last month equated to the past 6 months in revenue. Like, it was ridiculous amount of growth. We had so many customers, so many different things on board. What I would put it down to is like being relentless with our follow-up is something that changed for our business, but also getting a lot of top of funnel traffic. So getting out there, posting on Facebook, posting on LinkedIn, emailing people, messaging people. And once you have like a lot of top of funnel people, a lot of people interested in what you're doing, then you can go out and go, all right, I've got these 10 people who I haven't really spoke to in a while. Let's generate some revenue this week. Let's go speak to those 10 people and see what we can do. And that change from, generating the top and then really harvesting and nurturing the middle is something that's changed our business completely. And it sounds like obvious, right? A lot of people say that, but like really, really focusing. Like, honestly, I had a client who we signed about 2 months ago. She completely ghosted me, like nothing. Like, I sent the proposal, sent everything, we were ready to roll, and then nothing. 3 months. I messaged her LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, email. Like, I tried to call her, text, nothing for 3 months, but I would consistently follow up, offer value, send her some articles in her industry. And then one day she goes, hey, Jason, the person who I hired didn't work out. Let's roll. And I'm like, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So that's what changed in the business, is being relentless. So yeah.
Because I can't remember the exact number, but I think it's 82% of all your business comes after the seventh point of contact with someone.
Yeah. And that, like, dude, that couldn't be more true. And I didn't really think of it because I have the agency with my brother, who's also my business partner, and we've both been in real estate. He was a lot longer in real estate. I did real estate in New York City.
Right.
So I was from that world where 32 touches, touch your audience as much as possible. But then I thought in marketing, I'm like, oh, I can be a bit more passive, but nope. Marketing, you are just, even if you're an agency owner, you're a salesperson. Doesn't matter what you think.
because people often hear, yeah, people have to see, you have to focus on branding, and people have to hear about you so many times, and people just pass by it lightly. But it's
Yeah.
true. You really have to make points of contact, always be in touch with people, hit them from different angles, and just keep giving them value until.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
Exactly.
doesn't, it doesn't just happen once you sign them on as a client. It's a long lasting thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that value gets talked a lot about recently, I think, in the last couple of years. I think Gary V probably brought up the value thing. And now a lot of people just say, "Oh, I'm just trying to give you value." And they don't actually, like, they say I'm trying to give you value instead of giving value. Like, on some of the comments on the post in the Young Aussie Entrepreneurs group and some other groups that I'm a part of,
Yeah.
they would say, "Oh, what do you think of this?" And I would go and list like 3 paragraphs of what I think, because that's actual value. Not saying, "Oh, I want to deliver value," and then I don't even ask like join my group or follow me or anything like that.
Yeah.
Straight away they follow me, they message me, they join one of our coaching programs, anything like that, just because. And the thing is, for me, I don't care if they do that, because I've got all my other clients paying me my salary and everything like that. These people I'm genuinely helping, and then in return they're offering me value by buying products and stuff like that.
That's one thing I was going to ask. Is that part of your branding strategy, just to be known and just be out there?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a good segue into this, is that like in the last probably year, we were posting every day on LinkedIn, posting every day on Facebook and Instagram, and not really getting anywhere, right? Because organic reach is down on those platforms, especially Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn was a little bit better. I was getting good connections there, but we were posting consistently on there, delivering decent value, commenting, replying to people, but we weren't really getting any traction. So then we were like, all right, let's try and jump into groups and see what the go is with groups. And we were, in these groups really delivering value, but these people like cared. They wouldn't reply, "Great post, Jason. Thanks for sharing." They would say, "Hey, Jason, what about this? What about that?" And I'm like, boom, boom, boom. And it was enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
So posting in those groups ultimately, like, cause I love, like, I would talk about this stuff all day, all night. Like, this is what I love. So when these people actually engage and are excited to speak about it with me, I'm like, cool, let's do it. So that was a big switch as well, as like switching to where your actual people that you want to speak to are, rather than just posting it out there to everyone.
Yeah, and for you, where are most of your clients? What platforms? What demographics? You mentioned a lot more immature businesses. I wouldn't call them that, but just starting out.
Yeah. So our clients, we've actually found a lot through LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I think LinkedIn as a young business owner is something that we got to explore, because the majority of people on producing content on LinkedIn are a little bit older than us, like late 20s, early 30s, and they're producing really great content. But our angle on it is we can look at it from what that means in terms of social, what that means in terms of like anything like that from our actual angle. And I think that's missed on LinkedIn. So I went in on LinkedIn and we're starting to get customers by bringing my approach to it. And a careful line that you have to walk is not call yourself an expert. Just talk about what's worked for you or what you've seen works for other people. Because some people are like, "Oh, I can't, nothing's worked for me. So what do I do?" So what I did is I went on and I looked at like King Kong, one of the big agencies in Australia. I looked at what they were doing. I looked at what their customers were doing, and I broke it down and then explained it to people on LinkedIn. So that's how customers started coming to me. But the second part of this is like where the younger businesses are is Facebook groups, man. Facebook groups are so powerful these days. You obviously know you're the founder of a great group, and I think that the more people engage and get like active in groups, the better results they're going to get. Like I've got full price clients from groups that I thought, these guys, I think it was like one of Ty Lopez's groups. I got a full paying client from there because they just couldn't handle all of the SMMA stuff. So like, I'll just hire you. So yeah, definitely Facebook groups, man.
So it seems like you get a lot of your clients online. At the start, were you doing much cold calling, or has it always just been online?
Yeah. So I actually just posted this big thing I'll post it in the Young Aussie Entrepreneurs group, actually, is this massive post, because I was like, I am sick of people saying, "How do I get customers?" I'm like, I can name 10 different ways I get customers because I tried every single way. So how I got customers was like, I'll do the big post in the group later on. But the first way was I asked my mum. So I was like, Mum, this is the business that I want to start. This is what I'm skilled at. And she's like, okay, cool. Tell me all about it. And Mum's like a very smart woman. She's had her own businesses before. And same with my dad. Dad owns like businesses. He's never worked a day in his life for someone else. So so I told Mum, and Mum's like, all right, cool. So the next day she went out and had coffee with one of her girlfriends and said, this is what Jake's doing. This is what he's good at. And then that girlfriend's partner has a business that needed everything that I did. And then on the third day, before I even picked a name for my business, I had a client.
Wow.
And people don't like, that's such a low hanging fruit because all mums have hundreds of friends. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and friends that have obviously make money because, you know, they're parents, they have kids themselves. So yeah, just, that's the first tip that I would say to anyone is tell your partner, tell your mom, your dad, tell your brother, tell everyone that you know is close and will already vouch for you. And then whenever in that conversation that comes up, they're going to get you a client. That's probably my biggest tip. But as I said, I'll put the post in the group because it's
awesome. And that's a super important point because so many people are just afraid to let family and friends know what they're actually doing, and they're starting a business because of all that backlash that they, think's going to come their way. But like you said, it's the lowest hanging fruit. It's just
yeah, and that's a good point. Like I often forget that when I give that advice that not a lot of people have supportive parents like I do. Like my mom, freaking hell, if I dropped out and went and was in the circus or something, she'd support me. Yeah. Like she's brilliant like that. Same with my dad. But some people that don't have supportive parents, all they need to do is just speak to them and be honest with them and tell them everything that's going on. And really, your hardest sell is your parents ultimately. Because I still did. I had to sell my parents that this is what I wanted to do. But if you come at them with logic and explain the story rather than just saying, Mom, I'm going to be an SMMA owner, make hundreds of millions of dollars. Like I said, Mom, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to start. And she goes, all right, perfect. I can tell people about that. So yeah, that's an important point with my previous point.
You just mentioned SMMA.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of social media marketing agencies out there. Not only when you're branding yourself, but differentiating yourself to clients, how do you go about that?
I hate the word SMMA. Like I absolutely despise it. Like when it first came out, like honestly, when people started saying I'm an SMMA, I like Googled it. I'm like, what the hell is this? Yeah. And that was already a year into my agency. Like, so I've always stayed away from it. And I actually think that the more these people do these things and like the more these courses come out and stuff like that, the better off I am because we service our clients to no end. Like some of our clients will tell you like everything that we do for them. And we don't call ourselves a social media marketing agencies. We say we're a digital marketing agency. Yeah. We can solve this, like we can solve these 3 problems. We always say that there's only 3 problems.
Yeah, I like that.
Rather than saying, we'll do your Facebook post. Like we don't post on people's Facebook account. There's no ROI in it for us. We'll do your lead gen. We can help you with funnels and we can help you with some SEO and AdWords. So yeah, I try to stay away from that world, even though I'm in it, as we talked about before, is that I'm trying to get customers in that I'm doing a bit of coaching and I'm doing some courses with. But I try to stay away from calling myself that because you're going to limit yourself very, very much. And a lot of people do.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Like, even though you are doing I wouldn't say the exact same thing, but
yeah,
in a similar branch to all these other businesses, by differentiating yourself from saying, hey, we actually solve these problems, instead of saying we do this, this, and this. It's so simple, but it just,
exactly. And you said, how do I stand out, like in terms of branding myself, is the fact that like most of our customers who work with us, they only know JCF Media, my business name, when I send invoices that say it's from JCF Media. Like that's the only way they know it. Otherwise they're like, I'm working with Jason. Yeah. So that's the big thing, is that it's always, like I always say, people say B2C, B2B. I just say like P2P, like person to person is the best way to sell. We've always, we've been in meeting with like 10 people in the boardroom and I'm just standing there like, oh crap, I'm not prepared. But because I'm the person and I'm the person that they believe in, that's how like people are attracted to me, is that you really got to focus on being the person. And I don't know if you're into like funnels at all, but Russell Brunson always talks about like some of the best businesses in the world have the attractive character. Yeah. And if you just rattle off some businesses off the top of your head, Apple, Steve Jobs, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, like, Facebook, Zucks. Like, if you think of those big companies, they always have an attractive character. So my main goal is always being that attractive character and being at the forefront of my brand.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to attract customers. I single-handedly, that's the best way.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. A lot of people don't just want to see the front anymore. They want to see what's behind the business, what's going on. And that's why I think Nick and Alex, or Nick Merkovich and Alex Tomic from High Smile, they do it so well because they don't just show you the brand itself. They let you behind the scenes on everything that's going on because people have that personal and emotional connection with what they're purchasing.
Yeah, exactly right. Like Nick and I played soccer together. God knows how long ago, but he really, both him and Alex, I haven't met Alex myself, but both of them really, like, they are so their brand, and the brand is an extension of them rather than the brand being created, because ultimately their customers is teenage girls, middle-aged girls. Like, I've bought his product several times, but so it's hard, for them to like make up this brand, but they've embodied it so well, like, that they don't need to reach those people. They can reach a whole bunch of people, like with Conor McGregor, Ibrahimovic. Like, I mean, frick, I'm a 24-year-old male and I'm buying this so-called, teenage product. So yeah, exactly. That's the best example of what I just talked about.
In terms of, how did you just learn all of this? Because obviously you're not born knowing this stuff. Did you take courses or?
Yeah, so I hate saying this because I don't advise it, but I actually have an MBA.
Okay.
So I played soccer, as I mentioned, all my life, and then suddenly someone came up to me and said, "Do you want to play soccer in America?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I do."
Yeah.
Because I had no prospects. Like, I got an OP. I didn't even do OP in Queensland. We do OP or rank. Like, I was a dropout, couldn't make it into uni. So, but over there, they offered me a full ride to play soccer. So I was like, yep, cool. I couldn't play my first year because of some NCAA rules. And then I started doing business courses and I really started latching on. One of the professors that I worked with was like, he founded a company that he eventually sold to IBM for 40 million. And he said that, and he was only like 38. And he said he was going to the gym every day at 10 a.m., but all old people were there. And he's like, dude, I can't do this. So he went back into teaching. So he started teaching and I really connected with his story and eventually accelerated my learning at school and got my MBA paid for as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend doing that because everything that my MBA taught me, it teach me like how to run this business properly. It taught me a lot of the fundamentals, like anything to do with our taxes, anything to do with our business structure. I can, handle that completely, which is, very good. But most of the time someone can do that better for you. I just live the industry. So every single day I'm on Ad Age. I'm on TechCrunch. Listening to podcasts. I'm listening to books, and it's just consistent. But I would also say to people that you should pay for some of your information. I know that the Gary V type world, and love Gary, have all these books like sitting next to me and stuff like that, says, no, you should just give it all away for free. And while I agree sometimes, I think you need to pay and really commit to some sort of program, and you're going to learn a lot. Like, I've committed to programs, like I went to Tony Robbins' program. I've been to, some Kat Howell. She has a FATC. Tristan, I forget his last name. He has a e-commerce program. If someone resonates with me, I'll buy their program. I'll go through it, see what happens. And then I make the tweaks in our ad campaigns. And if they work, then I'll keep listening to that person. If they don't, then I'll move on. It's just trial and error, man, like consistent trial and error.
Yeah, you touched on commitment so much there. And people don't want to pay for education and learning. But at the end of the day, like you said, people who pay probably have a much higher success rate. I wouldn't doubt that at all, because when you get something for free, it's like, well, if I stop learning, it's okay because I never paid for it in the first place. But you actually pay, have to see it through, are the ones that ask all the questions, are the ones that, ring your phone because they want to know everything because they paid for it.
Yeah. Oh, damn right. And Billy Jean just sold his course for $31. I bought it, haven't opened. Like, it also, the price point matters. And I'm not a big person on like, you've got to buy all these courses and get in all the programs and go up through people's value ladders. But Russell Brunson in his book said that he has invited 10 people to his $20,000 program that he gave them for free. And those 10 people have made $0 from the information. But people pay $20,000 have made millions.
Yeah.
You value the information a lot more. Not saying that what he's saying isn't true, and if you hear it for free, you can't apply it. It's that you're valuing it, you're putting your money, you're committing, you're getting yourself so much more psyched up for learning this content. And I think that a lot of young people want to go it alone, and you can Google everything, you can YouTube everything, but to get your basics and fundamentals in, take a little course. And then I Google every day. Like I was like, how do I, create YouTube ads? And I just went on YouTube, figured it out. Someone actually pitched me a course, but I figured out enough on, just YouTubing it. So just in your downtime, instead of watching Netflix, like watch YouTube videos and listen to podcasts. Like I love Netflix. Like I'm, my now wife and I, we watch Netflix every night, at 10 o'clock, one episode, go to sleep. But when she's not home and when I don't have to spend time with her, I'm on YouTube. And like when she's away or anything, I'm on YouTube, I'm on podcasts, just learning as much as possible.
Yeah. It's probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made, not investing early enough. I tried e-commerce for a good year without much success. And I mean, the day that I got a mentor, my results just went through the roof. And
yeah, it's crazy. And I think that a lot of people are scared to make that investment and are worried about it. Like I also say that if you are selling courses, you have to believe in them and you advertise like you believe in them. So people that say, oh, he's just spamming me, or like, who's a good example of that? Tai Lopez, he just advertised. But I think Tai believes in his course so much that it is his freaking duty to sell you the course. Like that's a Grant Cardone thing, like, because your life will be better off.
Yeah.
And I think that like, if you can sense the people that really believe in their product, then you should invest.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
That's a good point. I mean, it's more, and that leads into like, it's probably an ethical obligation to him, because as you mentioned, Grant Cardone, like if you know you can do more, then you must do more. Like it's just about helping as many people as you can. But then again, I don't want to get that mixed up with people who just sell courses and make most of their money off courses.
Yeah, definitely.
I try and target people if I want to learn from someone that makes their money from running their business.
Yep.
Opposed to someone who does selling a course. But you talked about going to school and university before. I never actually went there, but it's interesting to hear your take on it. Is it worth doing?
So I knew you were going to go there.
Yeah.
So I was the worst high school student. I was good at soccer. Like if you're good at sport, and anyone who's good at sport will relate and say like, screw school. Like I did not care about school. I was in soccer twice a day. I would miss my last period. I was getting C's and D's. And like, luckily my parents are so supportive because they let it go. But I was so bad. I was such a bad student. Then eventually, this opportunity come across. And it's tough because I can't say that I wouldn't recommend it, because my best experience of my life was in college. And I ultimately got my MBA, and I ultimately met people that have led me to where I am today. But I'm quite rare, because I graduated with 200 people who have the same degree as me, all of that, and then they're still working at fast food restaurants. So I took that opportunity and really owned it. So it's hard to look at it. I'll look at it from purely an information perspective. University is not worth it. Most of what I could have learned online, I could have taken a course. I honestly could have finished my whole MBA from start to finish in 6 months, but it took 5 years.
Right.
So information-wise, that's purely what you look at it in terms of an investment. It's not worth it. And people have to pay. I didn't have to pay. I was lucky I had scholarship. So if you were coming out of high school, I think you need to do something to get your knowledge up and get yourself anchored. Like I would honestly, if I was coming out of high school again, I would work at a company sweeping freaking floors and try to work my way in there and just be around people who have the knowledge that you want and have the things that you love. Like if that's freaking working at McDonald's, like they have a great training program. So work there, learn, understand, like commit to something rather than just, like messing around for a year. Yeah, it's a tough topic because I was a success from college, but I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, that's my take on it.
It's a good perspective because I look at it and I haven't been to university, so I can't say too much. But
Mhm.
the way I see it is you're being taught business by someone who's only getting paid $50,000 a year. And how does that really work?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned my teacher, who like honestly he's a close friend now. Is that he said like his story was, you know, yo, I hated being retired, so I come to university. I don't take a salary. I just do this because I love it.
Yeah.
And he was so passionate about teaching, and that's how I learned. And he also hated the school system himself because he one of his classes was you get he wanted to make it an A or an F, and like if you get a B, that's an F. But the school made him do an A, C, or an F so people could pass. But he like said, this is how it works in the real freaking business world, is that you either get the client, you get the sales, you have a successful business, or you fail. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it and give you a freaking B plus because you had a nice presentation. So I was very, very fortunate. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity to meet someone like that if I wasn't involved in university. But you can meet people like that within your meetups and other things like that. Like, I think that there's plenty of opportunity. The people make the university experience more than the education.
Yeah, of course. So just on that, business always isn't an exponential journey, though it should be, but you do have points where you struggle with things. What has your business taught you about you and about business in general?
Is that so? Not a lot of people know this, but you know, Amazon was supposed to be called Relentless.
Never knew that.
Yeah. So if you go to relentless.com, it redirects to Amazon.
Wow.
Because Jeff Bezos wanted to call it Relentless. Luckily, he called it Amazon, you know, the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But that is, it's a key thing that I always talk about, is that every time we have something bad in our business, the next day we get up, we get moving, we act the same, we hit all our goals for the day and keep moving forward. And it's such like cliche advice, but it's so true. Like we lost a client 2.5 weeks ago, got off the call, called my brother, business partner, and said, all right, we lost this. What did we do wrong? All right, let's move on. And then that afternoon we signed another client who was a cold lead, because we didn't let the bad affect us. But we're also quite weird in the fact that we would sign something huge. Like one day we had like $10,000 worth of clients signed in one day. And we're like, whoa, like this is freaking awesome. Yeah. And then that afternoon, like it was a Friday, like late in the afternoon, we were working on other client campaigns. We were working on building other things. And then on the Saturday morning, I completely forgot about the day before. I just continued, like I don't let the highs really like take me and celebrate and have a massive weekend, but I don't let the lows go there. So I'm always kind of mellow and just relentless about it. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm really passionate. When I like sign a client, I'm trying to be better about like, yes, hell yeah, let's have a beer or anything like that. But if I do that, then the lows kind of affect me a little bit more. So just relentless and consistent. That's my biggest advice to people, is that just don't freaking stop ever.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. And that comes back to something I heard from Gary Vee. I mean, I listen to people like rant a lot more than Gary, but Gary did at one point, he missed out on a $10 million client. They went into a board meeting and completely just missed the deal. And he said, at the end of the day, it's my fault. And what am I going to do about it? Like, I can't dwell on it. You just got to keep going.
Yep. And that is a huge thing. Like he did a talk in Brisbane. He said, I think the freaking weather is my fault. He said that. And I was like, it makes sense, because when you have that control over your life, you really don't care what anyone thinks, and you can always get back and better. Like, it was probably 2 months ago. I said to Chris, I was like, my business partner, I said, let's freaking make this month better. It is up to us to like get us out of this situation, make our business really great. And then by the end of the week, we achieved what we wanted to. And it wasn't always the direct, like we weren't getting direct results from what we were doing, but because we were relentless and trying, other things started to fall for us. Like, you know, people always talk a lot of crap on, you know, the law of attraction and things like that, but it's not just the law of attraction. There isn't all of that stuff, but if you are doing and taking massive action, things are going to fall. Like no matter where they fall, it doesn't have a direct correlation. Things will fall when you take that freaking massive action. And it's all up to you to go out there and control it.
Yeah, that law of attraction stuff. I mean, it's it's a weird topic, isn't it? Because I like
Yeah.
to, I more so think about it as the law of action. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to think of it. Yeah.
like you can think of a glass of water and how thirsty you are, but until you actually pick it up and drink it, nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Yeah. Yeah.
That's yeah. So just on that, because you talked about getting started in business and just going all these directions. I had a look at your site and you guys do SEO, you do Facebook ads, LinkedIn.
Yep.
Should someone get really specific at one thing, or should they branch out like you guys have done?
Specific. 100% specific. In fact, we dropped AdWords and SEO recently. Like we do it for customers, but it's not as a common offer for us. I would get so specific because one, it makes your life easier. Two, you become an expert. And three, most of the time, other things you can outsource and you can still make money off. So we outsource most of our web design work now, our SEO, our AdWords, because that stuff was not what we're good at. We're good at making the Facebook strategies, making the marketing strategies, and that's what we love. And we freaking dove deep. And this is a good advice for people looking to start agencies or any type of business is that we said JCF Media, the full service marketing agency. And I'm like, how can we be full service when there's only two of us? So we were though, but we're working 18 hours a day each and earning like $100. So,
Yeah.
So we changed it and we ultimately could up our prices and we got really good at what we were doing. So I would be very, very specific, especially at the start. And then things fall off there. Like a good example is Facebook. They were the university student social media. And then they became the high school and then they became the world. They were specific. That was their goal, owning that, creating that market, and then just growing from there. So I would really, stay specific at the start and then grow from there.
Are you specific on a type of niche too, or just the procedures?
No. So a lot of the SMMA training is like get down to your niche, like be really good at that. And while I completely agree, I think that you should start a niche, but it's really tough to do that because I'm in Brisbane, so it's a bigger city. But if some of these people in these small cities are like, they get through the 20 dentists in the area and then they're screwed. So my first customer, they actually produce a food that makes cows poo better.
Okay.
So that was my first customer. Like that's who my mum recommended me to. And if I was like, no, I'm only freaking dentist, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with them. I wouldn't have learned from them. And then I wouldn't have been able to service another customer who's in a similar niche. We always like to apply, I think that it's good being in different niches because we have a customer in transport that we apply a lot of their tactics to other niches. We have a customer in e-com who we apply their tactics and the beauty of what they do into a real estate company.
Yeah.
So while again, I'm conflicting myself, but I would recommend being a little bit niche, but not being too scared to branch out because that's where you learn and that's where you really grow is that we take different things from different niches and apply them. So that's my take on the whole niche thing.
Yeah, like you said, you can niche down and get really good at a particular industry, whether it's the car industry, the auto, restaurant industry. But it's good to have that broader knowledge to put,
Yeah, definitely.
in niches. And just on that, you talked about outsourcing stuff.
Yep.
And you mentioned that in the past 6 months, you've gone from 679 to where you are now.
Yep.
How important was scaling for you, and how did you go about scaling?
One of the things in my post that I'll do later on is that I got a partner very quickly within that has something else. So find something that you're so if you're in social media marketing agency, you are wanting to be good at Facebook ads because that's a highly paid, highly leverageable skill. Web design is highly saturated and not highly paid. Well, it can be, but if you're just doing WordPress and Wix and ClickFunnels, it's not very highly paid and a lot of people can do it. So I was like, screw that. I'm going Facebook ads. Let me find a partner who is really good at web design. Yeah. And then as soon as we found that partner, they gave us 3 clients. We gave them 5 clients and it just kept growing from there. But you have to find the right partner who represents your brand because sometimes it comes back on you if that partner doesn't service the client as well as you would have. So I would highly recommend finding partners rather than just like outsourcing things to people on Fiverr and Upwork. And then once you are getting like scale, like we outsource a lot of our like data scraping stuff, a lot of our like cleaning up email lists, anything like that. We outsource that to Upwork and Fiverr and all of those.
Yeah.
But we, anything that's very big and very customer heavy, we make sure we find a good partner for.
So do you have salespeople in Australia, or that's something you take care of?
We take care of ourselves. We closed the agency 2 months ago to new clients, and then now we're opening it back up because we've got more, we can scale a bit better. Mm-hmm. So we take care of the sales process ourselves. The top of funnel stuff's reasonably taken care of by our content and groups and things like that now, which previously it wouldn't. Like, again, I wouldn't say do that for new agencies, just focus on content. You need to do cold outreach. But most of our top of funnel stuff's taken care of. It's just about nurturing and closing from there.
Yeah, and I love how you're still, even though you've built this to such a big agency, you're still partly in the business, because a lot of people, when they want to get into business, just see, you know, I'm going to go for the money, make all the money, but then don't understand all the back end systems, you know, tax, ABN, setting up, you know, what type of company to go with. And just the fact that you're actually in it and you understand everything saves you a lot of trouble.
Saves me so much trouble, but I would also recommend that eventually you get to a point where you can step away and really focus on the thing that you're good at. My dad is the best example of that. In, you know, an entrepreneur that I look up to, is that he has always been such an entrepreneur who can freaking do things so quickly, so strongly. But he fails sometimes to step away and go, all right, this is what direction we need to take the business in. This is how we need to do things. So I would always recommend that you, like you said, like be in it, know it, because you are the expert. You are your business. Yeah. And then once you know all of that, you can kind of take a little bit of a step back and focus on the things you're good at, which is something that we're trying to do over the next couple of months.
Yeah, of course. Would you have any advice to people about systems and back-end stuff that's not to do with the actual money generating side of the business?
Yeah. So systems is absolutely everything. Like, we were a freaking mess when we signed our first client. Word docs, like freaking long email chains, you know, Excel spreadsheets, like nothing organized at all. So we actually created this freaking awesome sheet that holds all of our customers' information, like down to what their mission is, what color their logo is, what font their logo is, and then it holds all of the information about all their campaigns. And we send that to them on a Google Sheet. We keep everything there, and that's how whenever we need to know anything about the customer, we just jump on the sheet and go, oh, okay, yep, that's there. This is where they're at. This is what strategy we're at. So very, very system oriented is something that we have been in the last couple of months. So what I would recommend is, because we spend, even when we weren't making money, we would spend $2,500 to $4,000 on SaaS products a month. So we would like freaking the Infusionsofts, Zooms, the works. But I would find your SaaS product, learn it, know it, and then just ignore everything else. Like, there's never going to be a perfect product. Like, we actually just dumped Infusionsoft because it kind of sucks. So make sure you learn it, know it, and really understand it, and then implement in your business. Always take their free onboarding calls, because they'll always help you out there. Yeah. And that would be my advice, is that systems should be one of your first priorities in setting it up. And then you can keep scaling, and you can take on 20 clients. You know, sometimes when you don't have a system, you can take on 2 clients and be freaking broke and not have, you know, any energy. But if you have a good system, you can take on 20 and make just as much money.
And once you build those standard operating procedures, it just helps, you know, like you mentioned, when you want to scale, you can go out and hire a new salesperson or a new graphic designer or a virtual assistant overseas, and you just pass on the operating procedures that you've already built, and it saves you time and money from having to teach them everything. It's so important.
Yeah. We use Loom to communicate all of that.
Okay.
Like, we send a video quickly about how you need to do that, or that's our biggest thing. Like, we even use Loom for our sales conversations. So systems, everything.
And aside from the way you're currently scaling your business and growing it, what are your 12 to 20, 36 month goals, and what impact do you want to have within that time?
Yep. So our goal was, we actually got like real granular with this in terms of deciding the numbers that we wanted to hit. It was like our goal was to impact, because right now with our agency, we can impact about 20 customers realistically at a time who are paying customers, which is like, oh, cool, 20 customers, we're making a good income, living like, I'm looking at Brisbane in my apartment, stuff like that. But that's kind of boring. Like, what, is anyone going to remember me for impacting 20 people's lives? No. And that's like an ego thing, but it's also, I want to impact the world and make differences. So our goal was by the end of this year to impact 200 individuals' lives each. And that's through, we have a group coaching program. We also have a course, and we have a free group that we're impacting, and our clients as well. So our goal each was 200 people, and we actually didn't tie a monetary value to that, which I think is, we do have some monetary stuff that we want to hit, our revenue goals and everything like that. But our goal was the impact over the income, because like right now we've learned that every time I'm jumping on these groups, I'm giving this free advice, that boom, I get a Stripe notification, $500 purchased, $1,000 purchased. I'm like, oh, well, cool. So, 200 impacted lives within the next year. And then I want to double that every year until it's like freaking $1 billion or something silly.
and part, of course. And part of that comes back to your branding strategy. Like you said, posting in these groups, there might not be any front end monetary value, but down the track, you've built yourself up as this, value machine, I guess. And it just helps so much more. I really like that. And you also touched on helping 200 lives, but it's also more than that, because, it's not just the direct 200 businesses that you're working with. It's the broader community, their families. And
oh, dude, yeah. I mean, that stuff, that's so true, because every time I help like a small business person, that's why I like helping these small businesses or people who can't really afford, our big agency fees, because I'm helping them. Like, one company we work with makes $200 million a year. Whatever we do is feeding, we're not feeding anyone. We're not feeding any homes. We're just ticking along with the revenue, which I love. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they're one of my favorite customers, but some entrepreneur that we spoke with the other day, like, he is putting food on his table directly as a result of what we're doing. And that's like
powerful.
You're feeding this little girl, like young little cute girl, who's getting food because of what you're doing. And that, like, I could get emotional about that stuff, but that's life, right? That's what you need to do if you have, because I really do think, like you mentioned earlier, that you said, like, how'd you learn all this? Like, I really do think that I have a talent for a lot of this, more so than everything that I learn. So it's, as I said, my freaking duty to pass that on and make sure I help as many people as possible.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm not sure if you've read Grant Cardone's 10X rule.
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, I listened to it when I was in New York in the subway.
It's a great book, and he does mention that. He said before he wrote it, he was working with big companies, helping them make money. He makes them money, they make him money. But at the end of the day, they're only just talking about money. There's no actual exchange of anything other than money. And money is important, don't get me wrong, but there needs to be something else in it, to help these companies.
Oh yeah, like last week, next week's like a big pay week for us, the first of the month. But and we've been paid some days where we're like, holy crap, our bank account's looking lovely. And then last week we had a message from someone that said, dude, your course is so much better than Ty Lopez's course. And I was like, and then he's like, this is the stuff that everyone needs to be hearing. This is the stuff that will help my business out. And I'm like, damn, like, that's pretty cool. Like, when you have that feeling, it was so much better than any monetary value to anything. Like, he was just genuine and something that was really helping. So yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah. Grant's right with that. That's what I want to do. Yeah,
of course. So aside from business, I do think taking small breaks is important, but on the bigger picture, I think if you can do more, you should do more. Do you actually take time to rest and do other things other than work?
Not as much as I should, but so I like, actually like a little bit turned into a little bit of a nerd lately. Like, I'm into I freaking love Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Disappointed by the ending. But anyway, I really do things that I love, but I'm more intentional about it recently. So instead of, working through the 11 o'clock when Game of Thrones airs, I would go, nope, on my calendar, Game of Thrones is on. I'm going to watch it, and then I can finish all my work. I might have to work later, or I might not. Getting real intentional about the time that I take aside from work is such a game changer. Like in the morning, I honestly would roll out of bed and then just come into the office and work. But if I get intentional about sitting down, speaking to my wife about like what we're having for breakfast, what her day looks like, when I'm more intentional about that, I enjoy my work day much better. Mm-hmm. And then outside of the work, I like going to the gym. I still like to play soccer every now and then, and I freaking love sports. Like I watch, crickets run around if they have an Australia jersey on them. So
yeah. Because it's a kind of controversial topic. I mean, a lot of people love the book 4 Hour Workweek. I've never read it myself, but the whole idea of only working 4 hours a week, it doesn't sit well with me because, like we keep touching on, I want to impact as many people as I can, and I kind of feel it's selfish if I only sit back and work for 4 hours a week because I could be helping. Like you said, you love impacting, the small family or the small daughter that you put on the table for. When you sit back, you're kind of being selfish because could go out there and help more people.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a good point. Like the 4 Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss I like him a lot, and he got a lot of criticism for the book, but it was more based on like efficiency strategies and everything like that. Like it's a very good book, but that's aside the point. I think you're right. But I'm one of those people where I'm like, if I get caught up in that, then I'll drive myself mad and I'll just work nonstop. So I try to think like, you can't help everyone, Jason. Like, a lot of people do see on the news and they're always victimized by things on the news. They're like, oh, like Labor and Liberal. I'm like, and they get up in arms about it. Like, I can't really impact that. Yeah. So, you can with your voting and everything like that. But if you're going to let it like affect you so much, then you're just going to have a miserable life because, anything you see on the news, whether it's an old building burning down or, animals dying or anything like that is going to really affect you.
Yeah.
Back to the point of like, you can't help everyone. So I do try to be intentional. And when you get intentional, because I'm one of those people, I work nonstop, 3 a.m. I wake up and work. But when you get intentional about your breaks and taking time for yourself, you can reinvest that time. I always think of time as like something you can reinvest later, your energy. So you have that energy back and you reinvest it in your work, and your work, that hour impacts 3 times more people than if you worked 4 hours or whatever.
Of course. Now, this is a really cliche question because everyone asks this, but I like asking it because everyone has their own message and can impact people different ways. For the people in the group, what is something that actually can genuinely help them if they were to take action on one piece of advice that you could give them?
I would say, and it's a common theme, like I've been, one of my good friends is a coach, like he's a high performance coach and he speaks to a lot of people and he talks about words, how you need to, everyone has these words that they're constantly drawn to. And something that we talked about earlier was the word relentless. Yeah. And I don't like giving cliche advice or anything like that. Like I think that I would rather tell you how to run a Facebook ad or anything, or how to set up your business. But being relentless about every single freaking thing that you do will get you far. Like I'm relentless if I set my mind on something. Like I've been out of soccer for a year because I've had some bad injuries and I was like, I'm unfit. I'm not going to run a 2K. Like I'm going to run a freaking half marathon or something stupid. Like, and then I set these relentless goals where I'm like, boom, hitting them every single day. And just never freaking stopping with it. If you believe in it enough, like you've got to have that freaking belief in yourself. And you can keep getting that belief by learning more and like asking questions. Is that, sometimes our Facebook ad campaigns would flop. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like I'm dumb. I'm not good at this. But then the next day I would go, no, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to do this. I'd speak to our clients, reevaluate and move on, and just consistently over and over every single freaking day. That's my advice. It's a bit cliche, but being relentless and intentional is the best thing that you can do.
I can tell that you've read the 10X rule because it's just about, not stopping at what most people get satisfied at. It's just pushing and keep going and over delivering every single time. And I love that about you because I can just tell that you're all about that.
Oh yeah, big time, man. And that's where we were at. We're at a point where I was like, well, we could have this agency and it'll be cool. You know, we make 50 grand a month, just chill out, drink
Mm.
some beers on, you know, a Tuesday afternoon, whatever we want to do. But I was like, that's not really like what I'm doing this for. You know, money's cool and all, but like, let's grow and let's continue to grow our potential. And that's why, like I resonate with people like The Rock. Like, what does The Rock need to work for? Like,
LeBron James, all those guys.
like what the hell does he like? Dude's the freaking best looking man in the world. He's the biggest man in the world. He's the biggest actor, but he wakes up at 3 a.m. He's grinding. He's on this movie. He's on that set. Like they film Ballers in 2 weeks because it's the only way they could fit into his schedule. Like he's someone who's really like living his truth and doing what he loves, and he has to relentlessly do it. Like I love that. That's what I'm all about too.
Yeah, of course. Are you planning on just scaling this agency, you know, to the moon, or do you have plans to move into other industries or businesses or ventures or branching out your current business?
Definitely looking to branch out a lot more. I think the agency stuff is becoming a little redundant with a lot of people doing it. I'm not saying that it's going to go away at all. I think that the agency is going to grow for another 20 years, but I also think that I will get over it eventually. And right now we're looking to take on, 5 more new clients, and then we're probably going to just hold on to our customer base and keep the agency on that side so we can service the crap out of those people. Like I am not going to take on a client that I can't really service. So that's where we want to go with the agency. And then we want to go into the coaching space with this stuff where we can help a lot more people at like better prices. We're into a course. We have, as I said, our free Facebook group, but also a lot more like big business ventures. Like I want to be in rooms with people that knowing this. I want to be in rooms with the writers, not the readers.
Yeah.
So like I really want to scale up, and I'm not sure what that looks like, but that's okay to me. Like, is it a product? Is it a SaaS? Like, what is it? I'm not sure what that looked like at the moment, but I know that I'm going to get there by constantly, pushing myself. So that's the goal over the next couple of years.
And is that something that you think will happen that you're starting to work on straight away, or is that just something that will naturally?
That's something that we're working on straight away right now. Like we are real, as I said, intentional about it. We're trying to grow. We are trying to be known in this space, especially in Queensland and Australia, because I don't think there's enough people in Australia really pushing good messages. So we really, are pushing for that right now.
Yeah, of course. And you talked about getting on stage and stuff. What does that impact look like for you? Is it, writing books? Is it mentoring people? Is it?
Yeah, I always, when I first heard the word mentor, I was like, what the hell does that mean? And then I was like, well, my dad and my teacher and other things, they're quote unquote mentors. I really do want to help people like directly one-on-one. I think that sort of world is where I want to go. And people say that it's saturated, but it's definitely not saturated. Like we're a few years away from being saturated. Like if you sit there and think, like if you say it's saturated, then you're like, well, I can only really name 5 huge ones, like the Gary V's, the Grant Cardones, Ty Lopez. Like, well, there's room for a lot more. There's thousands of actors in the world. So, I really want to dive into that space really head first.
Yeah, I love that. It's not, and you touch it. It's not saturated. It's just people aren't taking it from a different perspective. And it's also like, drop shipping is the perfect example.
Yeah.
It's not saturated. People just don't pay enough attention to investing into marketing to actually take a different angle to advertise a product and brand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's super important. So, this has been a really great chat. Where can people find you and learn more from you? Obviously, you're in the group, but other than that, where else?
So I would follow my personal page on Facebook, which is just Jason C. Fox. And then on Instagram, the same, Jason C. Fox, LinkedIn, Jason C. Fox, because there's a lot of Jason Foxes, so I had to put the C in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and you have a program or a course that people can check out?
Yeah, I do. I have a course that I've designed with my business partner. It's called Funnel Accelerator. It's basically, it literally like, I don't even know how to describe it. It will hold your hand through setting up a freaking Facebook page to achieving your first sale. and then consistently rolling in the machine. And we have like master classes that will continually grow. So yeah, funnelaccelerator.co is the link for that. And then you just go there and you'll find all the information about it.
Perfect. Well, Jason, it's been really good having you on. Thanks for dropping all the knowledge.
Yeah, awesome, man. Good speaking to you.
You too.